The story begins in the mysterious land of Kathmandu in Nepal, where the secrets of magic and mystical powers are taught. During the night, a dangerous sorcerer named Quasilius secretly arrives there along with a few of his followers. His goal is to steal a powerful ritual whose secret is hidden inside an ancient book. To reach that book, Quasilius brutally kills the librarian of the place and steals several important pages from it, because those pages contain a deadly spell that could become a massive threat to the entire world. But just then the most powerful master of Kathmandu, the Ancient One, suddenly appears there. The moment Quasilius sees her, he panics and immediately tries to escape with his followers. On the other side, the Ancient One uses her magical powers to trap all of them inside the mirror dimension. It is a mysterious reality that normal humans cannot even see, and any destruction inside it does not affect the real world. After this, an intense magical battle begins between the Ancient One and Chalius. Using her incredible powers, the Ancient One defeats several of Chalius's followers, but somehow Chalius manages to escape from there along with a few of his men. On the other side in New York City, a famous neurosurgeon named Stephen Strange lives a luxurious and successful life. He is so skilled at his job that people consider him one of the greatest doctors in the world. But because of his success, he has also become extremely arrogant and only cares about his career and reputation. One night, Strange leaves in his expensive sports car to attend a medical lecture. During the drive, he starts talking on the phone with a junior doctor about new patient cases. While talking, his attention shifts away from the road. Suddenly, his speeding car loses control, crashes off the road, and he suffers a horrifying accident. After that, Strange is rushed to the hospital immediately. The doctors manage to save his life, but both of his hands are severely damaged. When he finally wakes up, he sees Palmer sitting beside him, the woman who truly cared about him. The moment Strange looks at his hands, he becomes terrified. Several steel pins have been inserted into them. In panic, he asks Palmer what happened to him. Palmer then explains that the accident badly destroyed the nerves and muscles in his hands, so the doctors had to place multiple pins to save them. Hearing this completely shatters Strange from the inside. Sometime later, even after the pins are removed from his hands, they continue shaking constantly, and his fingers can no longer function properly. Strange begs the doctors to fix his hands, no matter how much money it costs. The doctors continue his treatment. Several expensive surgeries are performed, and metal rods are inserted into his hands. Because of this, his fingers start moving slightly again, but the trembling in his hands never stops. Now Strange slowly becomes more frustrated and aggressive with every passing day. He believes that if his hands are never healed, then his entire career will be destroyed forever. On the other side, Palmer keeps trying to comfort him. She tells him that he needs to give himself some rest now because this treatment is destroying him mentally and emotionally. But Strange refuses to listen to her. He says that without his hands, he cannot save anyone's life anymore. Palmer then tries to make him understand that life is not only about work and money, but hearing this makes Strange furious. He accuses Palmer of not truly loving him, and says that she only feels pity for him. After hearing these painful words from Strange, Palmer's heart breaks and she sadly walks away from there. During the treatment, Strange becomes completely broken from the inside. He slowly realizes that he may never become the same doctor again. One day, in frustration, he tells another doctor at the hospital that his life is completely over now. That doctor then tells him about a man whose condition was even worse than Strange's. His entire body had become paralyzed, and the doctors had already given up all hope on him. But after some time, that same man was seen walking again on his own feet. At first, Strange refuses to believe such an impossible story, but when he looks at the patient's file and sees the name Pangorn, he becomes completely shocked. The very next day, he goes to meet him personally. Strange asks how he managed to recover when his entire body had stopped functioning, because now Strange himself is desperately searching for a cure for his own condition. Pangorn then tells him that when his body completely failed him, the only things left were his mind and his faith. So he began trying to understand the true power of his thoughts and spirit. During that search, he eventually found the masters and was taken to Kathmandu. He explains that there he met the Ancient One. Because of her teachings and mysterious powers, his life slowly started changing. He found inner peace and even his body began healing over time. Pangorn says that Kathmandu hides many secrets that ordinary people can never truly understand, but the miracle he witnessed there became the reason for his second life. After this, he tells Strange the way to Kathmandu. On the other side, carrying his last hope, Strange finally reaches Kathmandu. He tries searching for Kathmandu there, but nobody is willing to show him the right path. While wandering through the streets, a group of thugs suddenly surrounds him, steals his belongings and starts beating him badly. Just then, a mysterious man with his face covered appears there. His name is Mo. He scares the thugs away and takes Strange along with him to Kathmandu. After reaching there, Strange finally comes face to face with the Ancient One. Looking at him, she says that she already knows everything about his surgeries and his condition. Strange immediately asks her how she managed to heal a man like Pangborn, whose spine had been completely destroyed. The Ancient One calmly replies that she did not repair his broken spine, but instead made him believe that he could walk again. Hearing this, Strange says that it means she discovered a way for the body to heal itself. But the Ancient One smiles and tells him that true power does not exist only inside the body, but within the soul itself. And if a person understands the strength of their soul, they can completely transform themselves. After this, the Ancient One starts explaining to Strange about chakras and the mysterious energy flowing through the human body. But Strange refuses to believe any of her words. Arrogantly, he says that there is no such thing as a soul. Humans are only made of tiny particles that exist in this world for some time, and then disappear forever. Hearing Strange's words, the Ancient One remains completely calm. Then suddenly, she uses her magical powers and with a single strike, pushes Strange's soul out of his body. Seeing this, Strange is filled with shock and terror. His spirit separates from his body and begins floating in the air. In fear, he asks what just happened to him. The Ancient One then tells him that he has entered the spiritual world where the soul can exist even without the body. But this is only the beginning. In the very next moment, the Ancient One uses her powers to show Strange glimpses of the entire multiverse. Strange witnesses countless mysterious dimensions. In some places, strange creatures exist, while in others there are glowing galaxies. And some terrifying worlds are so horrifying that they shake him to his core. For the first time, Strange realizes how limited his thinking truly was, and that the universe contains endless powers and worlds beyond human understanding. After this, the Ancient One brings him back into the real world again. Strange is now completely changed from within. He immediately tells the Ancient One that he wants to learn all of this and wishes to know how she gained such incredible powers. But the Ancient One refuses to teach him. She believes that Strange still carries too much arrogance and stubbornness inside him. Because of this, she has him thrown out of Kathmandu. On the other side, Strange is not someone who gives up easily. He keeps standing outside the gates for hours, desperately trying to get back inside. Seeing this, Morto goes to the Ancient One and tells her that Strange has been waiting outside for many hours. This means there is definitely something special within him. The Ancient One then says that she sees the same arrogance and stubbornness in Strange that she once saw in Quilius, and she does not want another student to walk down the path of dark powers. MTO tries to convince her by saying that every person is capable of changing. He reminds her that she herself taught him how to control the darkness within his own heart. But the Ancient One says that humans can never completely destroy the darkness inside them. They can only learn to rise above it. After this, Mordix reminds her that Caecilius is still out there with the stolen pages, and if he completes that dangerous ritual, the entire world could fall into danger. Mordix says that the future is going to become very difficult, and they may need someone like Strange in the coming battle. Hearing this, the Ancient One finally agrees. After that, Mtox brings Strange back inside. He shows him his room and tells him to rest for now because very soon his real training is about to begin. From the very next day, Strange's real training finally begins. The Ancient One explains to him that magic is not an ordinary power. The mystic masters draw energy from different dimensions of the universe, and through that energy, they create spells, weapons, and miracles. Strange listens to her carefully but then looks at his trembling hands and says that if his hands cannot even function properly, how will he ever learn any of this? The Ancient One then asks him how he used to heal damaged bodies and broken nerves before. Strange replies that he achieved it through years of study and practice. That is when he slowly begins to understand that magic too is not learned through power alone, but through dedication and constant training. After this, Strange reaches the massive library of Kathmandu, where thousands of mysterious books are kept. There he meets Wong, who is the new librarian of the place. Strange notices that a few special books have been kept separately. When he asks about them, Wong tells him that they belong to the Ancient One personally. Strange jokingly asks if reading them is forbidden. Wong replies that knowledge is not forbidden there, but certain dangerous rituals must be avoided. During this, Strange opens a mysterious book, but realizes that several pages are missing from it. Wong tells him that it is the Book of Secrets related to time, and Caecilius has already stolen those pages. He was also the one who murdered the previous librarian. After this, Strange begins training alongside the other students. Tox gives everyone a magical ring and explains that with its help, they can open pathways between different places and dimensions. Closing focus and control of the mind is necessary. Strange also tries to use it, but his hands continue shaking and he keeps failing again and again. Just then, the Ancient One arrives there. In disappointment, Strange says that because of his damaged hands, he cannot do anything properly. At that moment, another master appears whose hands do not even exist, yet he performs magic with ease. Seeing this leaves Strange completely shocked. The Ancient One then explains that his knowledge has brought him very far, but if he truly wants to move ahead now, he must let go of his arrogance. After this, the Ancient One suddenly takes him to the deadly, frozen mountains of Mount Everest. The cold there is so extreme that a human can die within minutes. Leaving him there alone, she tells him that if he wants to survive, he must awaken the power within himself. Trembling from fear and freezing cold, Strange desperately uses all his strength to control the magical ring. After many failed attempts, he finally succeeds in opening a portal and returns back to Kathmandu. Now Strange has become far more serious than before. Secretly, he starts reading the library's books and practices throughout the night without stopping. Slowly, he even learns how to separate his soul from his body, and because of this, he begins mastering magic much faster than everyone else around him. The next day, the Ancient One calls Strange to meet her privately. She tells him that compared to the other students, he is learning magic incredibly fast. That is why he now needs a special and safer place for his training. After this, the Ancient One takes him into the mirror dimension. Upon reaching there, Strange is left completely amazed because the entire world appears to bend and shift like shattered pieces of glass. The Ancient One explains that the mirror dimension exists alongside the real world, but ordinary humans cannot see it. It is used for training, surveillance, and dangerous battles so that the real world remains unharmed. On the other side, Moro now begins teaching Strange combat training. He also shows him magical weapons that can change their shape according to the user's will. Seeing this, Strange excitedly asks when he will receive his own magical weapon. Mordix smiles and tells him that when a sorcerer becomes truly ready, the weapon chooses its master on its own. After this, Strange asks him about Caecilius. Mordix then explains that Caelius was once the most talented student in Kathmandu, but after losing someone extremely close to him, he changed completely from the inside. He was highly intelligent but just as arrogant. He constantly questioned the Ancient One and never fully trusted her teachings. In the end, he chose the path of dark powers and left Kathmandu forever. Later that night, Strange secretly enters the library once again. There, he starts reading one of the Ancient One's mysterious books. Suddenly, a powerful object kept there awakens on its own, known as the Eye of Agamotto. Out of curiosity, Strange chants a few spells and suddenly time itself starts moving forward and backward in front of him. Broken objects begin repairing themselves, and it feels as if time has started reversing. Then, using that same power, he tries to view the torn pages stolen by Caecilius. That is when he learns about Dormammu, the most powerful ruler of the Dark Dimension. But just then, Wong and Moro suddenly arrive there. They immediately stop Strange and warn him that tampering with time is extremely dangerous, because anyone who tries controlling time can eventually become trapped inside its own deadly cycle. Strange quickly explains that he was only doing what was written inside the book. Wong angrily replies that books only show the path to power, but never reveal the dangerous consequences behind it. And if Strange is not careful, then one day this very curiosity could end up costing him his life. After this, MTO asks Strange in shock how he managed to use such a difficult power without completing his training. Strange replies that once he sees something, it stays permanently engraved inside his mind. He was able to finish his medical studies so quickly because of the same sharp memory. Hearing this, Mordix says that having a powerful memory alone is not enough because using a dangerous force like time also requires wisdom, patience, and complete control. Then Moro tells him that perhaps he was truly meant for the mystic arts. But Strange still looks at his hands with frustration. He asks when they will finally become normal again. Moro calmly replies that they are not fortune tellers who can see the future. Strange then asks them who they really are. In response, Wong reveals the complete truth to him. He explains that heroes like the Avengers protect the world from ordinary dangers and physical threats, but the duty of sorcerers is far more dangerous than that. They protect the world from mysterious dimensions and dark supernatural forces. Wong further explains that the Ancient One is the greatest protector of this entire order, and is connected to the legendary sorcerer Agamotto. Centuries ago, Agamotto created 3 sacred sanctums. The first was in Hong Kong, the second in New York, and the third in London. Together, these 3 sanctums form a magical shield around the earth that protects the world from attacks coming from other dimensions. Wong says that all the sorcerers of Kathmandu protect these sanctums because many dangerous creatures from other worlds want to destroy them, and among all of them, the most terrifying name is Dormammu. Dormammu is the immensely powerful ruler of the Dark Dimension. He possesses endless powers and an eternal hunger that can never be satisfied. He wants to absorb every world into his dark empire, and his eyes are especially fixed on Earth. Wong explains that the pages Caecilius stole contained a ritual for contacting Dormammu and gaining the powers of the Dark Dimension. Hearing all of this leaves Strange confused and frightened. He clearly says that he only came there to heal his hands, not to become part of some mysterious war. But at that very moment, a major disaster begins. Suddenly, Caecilius arrives there along with his followers and mercilessly murders the master protecting that place. Seeing this, Strange tries to stop him, but Caecilius immediately attacks him. For the very first time, Strange enters a real battle. Using his magical powers, he creates weapons and shields to defend himself, but Caecilius and his followers continue attacking him without stopping. After this, Caecilius uses the power of the mirror dimension. Suddenly, the buildings and streets begin twisting and folding as if the entire world is breaking apart and changing shape. Somehow, Strange manages to trap one of his followers, but Caecilius still keeps chasing after him. Just then, a red magical cloak suddenly flies towards Strange and starts helping him. During the fight, that same cloak later becomes his most important magical weapon. Strange creates a shield and blocks Caecilius, then asks what he truly wants. Caecilius replies that everything in this world eventually grows old and dies. Humans die, and one day even the sun itself will burn out forever. But Dormammu's dark dimension exists beyond time, where death can never reach anyone. He says that if the entire world is surrendered to Dormammu, then everyone can become immortal forever because time itself is what makes humans weak. Hearing this, Strange says that it is all a lie, and that the Ancient One has always protected humanity. But Caecilius laughs and says that Kathmandu only gathers broken people, while the Ancient One keeps the real power for herself alone. Perhaps that is why she has survived for so many years. He further says that with the help of the stolen pages, he will gain enough power to defeat the Ancient One and summon Dormammu into this world. Strange tries to make him understand that Dormammu has blinded him completely, and even his eyes reveal how dangerous the dark dimension truly is. Just then, one of Caecilius's followers attacks Strange from behind with a sword, but his magical red cloak saves him at the perfect moment. After being seriously injured, Strange uses his magical ring to travel directly to the hospital. There, he tells Palmer to take him into the operation room immediately. A few moments later, Strange loses consciousness and his soul leaves his body. Seeing this terrifies Palmer, and in panic, she asks if he is dead. Strange's spirit then tells her that he is still alive but slowly dying, so the treatment must begin immediately. Palmer quickly starts operating on him, but at the same time, the same follower of Caecilius whom Strange had stopped earlier arrives at the hospital. He also separates his soul from his body and directly attacks Strange's spirit. Now a dangerous spiritual battle begins inside the hospital itself. On the other side, Palmer keeps trying desperately to save Strange's life. Then at the perfect moment, Strange uses his powers, which kills Caecilius's follower and finally saves his own life. Strange tells Palmer that he missed her deeply all this time. Apologizing to her, he says that he treated her terribly, even though she always stood beside him during every difficult moment. In shock, Palmer asks where he had been for so many days. Strange then explains that when normal treatments failed to heal his hands, he eventually reached Kathmandu. There, the Ancient One showed him powers and worlds that he never believed could truly exist before. Then, in a serious tone, Strange says that he now has to go back because a dangerous sorcerer named Caecilius has joined forces with the powers of the Dark Dimension and wants to put the entire world in danger. He tells Palmer that Caecilius even came to kill him, but somehow he managed to survive. Palmer finds it impossible to believe his words, so Strange uses his magic to show her a glimpse of another dimension. Seeing this leaves Palmer completely stunned. After this, Strange returns to the New York Sanctum. There, his magical red cloak comes back to him once again, as if it has truly accepted Strange as its partner. But by then, Caecilius has already escaped from the place. Just then, Mo and the Ancient One also arrive there. They become happy after seeing the magical cloak with Strange, because it means that the powerful relic has chosen him as its master. Strange tells them that Caecilius can now use the powers of the mirror dimension in the real world as well. The Ancient One says that the London Sanctum has already been destroyed, which means now only New York and Hong Kong remain, and because Strange protected New York, he is now worthy of becoming a true master. But Strange does not feel happy hearing this. He says that when he became a doctor, he took an oath to save lives, not to kill people. Sadly, he says that because of him someone died today, and he never wants that to happen again. After this, Strange tells the Ancient One that he has discovered her secret. Now he realizes that she has been using the powers of the Dark Dimension for years, in order to stay alive. The Ancient One listens to him silently and walks away without saying anything. At that very moment, Cakes attacks the New York Sanctum once again. Morrow immediately tells Strange that they must stop him. Using his powers, Strange traps Caecilius and his followers inside the mirror dimension, but the decision quickly turns against them. Because inside that dimension, Caecilius could not harm the real world, but he could easily kill both of them there with the powers of the Dark Dimension. He could twist the entire dimension according to his own will. As the situation becomes worse, Strange and Morrow steal his magical ring and try escaping from there. They attempt to open a portal and get out, but Caecilius changes the pathways with his powers and traps them completely. Finally, when Caecilius is about to kill Strange, the Ancient One suddenly appears there. Using her powers, she calms and straightens the entire collapsing world around them. Seeing this shocks Moro because now he becomes certain that the Ancient One truly uses the powers of the Dark Dimension. The Ancient One tries to reason with Caecilius. She tells him that Dormammu only traps people by showing them the false dream of immortality. No one remains truly free there. But Caecilius refuses to listen and attacks her along with his followers. During the battle, he seriously injures the Ancient One and sends her crashing back into the real world. Strange immediately takes her to the hospital, where Palmer begins operating on her. But after a short time, the Ancient One's heartbeat stops completely. Strange then separates his soul from his body and follows her spirit. He sees that her soul is slowly drifting away from this world. Strange tells her that she must return to her body immediately, but the Ancient One calmly says that for a long time she has been looking beyond the limits of time itself. She already knows that her end is now very close. She says that throughout her life, she saved the world countless times, but after every danger, another threat always appeared. Then she reminds Strange about Pangorn. She explains that he did not change himself only to heal his body, but learned to understand the energies of other dimensions. And now Strange stands before that same choice. Either he can use his powers to completely heal his hands, or dedicate his life to protecting others. Strange finally realizes that his hands truly can be healed, but the Ancient One warns him that if he uses power only for himself, then the world will lose a great sorcerer. She also admits that using the powers of the Dark Dimension was wrong, but sometimes rules must be broken in order to save the world. Strange says that Moro will never accept something like this. The Ancient One then explains that Moro suffered through pain and hardship since childhood, which is why he believes rules are above everything else. But in the future, both Moro and Strange will need each other because a threat like Dormammu cannot be faced alone. In fear, Strange says that he is still not ready for all of this. The Ancient One smiles and says that nobody is ever truly ready. After saying this, her soul finally leaves her body forever. Strange is left completely heartbroken. Now he too stands before two different paths. The first, using his powers to fully heal his hands forever, and the second, dedicating his life to protecting the world. At that moment, he remembers Palmer's words that there is never only one way to save people, and finally Strange chooses to fight not for himself, but for the entire world. On the other side in Hong Kong, Wong and the remaining sorcerers prepare to protect the final sacred sanctum, because the sanctums of London and New York had already been destroyed and now only Hong Kong remained. That is why Caecilius arrives there with his followers to launch another attack. Meanwhile, Strange goes to meet and talks, but Mordex is completely broken from the inside after learning the truth about the Ancient One. All of his trust had shattered. In anger, he says that the Ancient One always claimed the powers of the Dark Dimension were evil, yet she herself stayed alive for years using those same powers. Strange tries to explain that whatever the Ancient One did, she did it to protect the world, but now there is no time left for arguments. If they fail to stop Caecilius, the entire world will be destroyed. Strange says that he cannot win this battle alone, so Mtox must come with him. Eventually, Mordex agrees, and both of them open magical portals and travel to Hong Kong. But the moment they arrive there, they are left shocked. The entire city has already been destroyed, and the Hong Kong sanctum has also fallen. The influence of the Dark Dimension begins appearing across the sky. Dormammu is slowly entering Earth itself. Seeing this, Mordex hopelessly says that it is already too late. No one can stop Dormammu now. But Strange refuses to give up. He immediately uses the Eye of Agamotto and starts reversing time itself. Suddenly, broken buildings begin repairing themselves, roads start restoring, and the city slowly returns back to normal again. Seeing this, Caecilius and his followers attack Strange once more. But Strange and MTO together try to stop them. Because time is reversing, Wong also comes back to life again. Strange realizes that simply restoring the city will never be enough because the moment time returns to normal, Caecilius will attack again. Just then, Caecilius suddenly breaks Strange's spell, causing time to stop once more. Laughing loudly, Caecilius says that Dormammu's Dark Dimension is the only true freedom. But at that very moment, a dangerous plan comes into Strange's mind. Alone, he enters the Dark Dimension and stands directly before Dormammu himself. Calmly, Strange tells him that he has come to make a bargain. But in anger, Dormammu instantly kills him. Then suddenly, time resets itself and Strange appears alive before him once again. Strange repeats the same words. "I've come to bargain." Dormammu keeps killing him again and again, but every single time, time rewinds back to the beginning. In reality, Strange had trapped both himself and Dormammu inside an endless time loop using the Eye of Agamotto. Now, no matter how many times Dormammu killed him, everything would simply restart again. Slowly, Dormammu becomes frustrated and furious. Strange then tells him that just as he gave Kelius the powers of the Dark Dimension, he himself has brought the power of time into this place, and now both of them are trapped inside this endless cycle together. In the end, Dormammu finally gives up. He tells Strange to end the time loop. Strange then places his condition before him. He says that Dormammu must leave Earth, take Quisilius and his followers back with him, and never attack this world again. Left with no choice, Dormammu accepts his demand. After this, Strange breaks the time loop and returns back to Earth. At the same moment, the bodies of Quisilius and his followers begin changing strangely. Strange tells him that this is the immortal life he always wished for. Then Quisilius and his followers start crumbling apart like ashes, and are dragged into Dormammu's dark dimension forever. Along with them, Dormammu also leaves Earth, and the entire world is finally saved. Wong becomes happy after seeing this, but Mordic still remains troubled. He says that they may have saved the world, but they also interfered with the laws of nature and time, and one day a terrible price will have to be paid for it. After this, Mtox leaves alone. On the other side, Strange places the Eye of Agamotto back in its secure place once again. Wong tells him that he made the right decision because such dangerous power should never remain in just anyone's hands. He also says that now the Ancient One is no longer in this world, which means they must stay prepared for every danger that may come in the future. After this, Strange becomes the new protector and master of the New York Sanctum. Now, his life is no longer about himself but about protecting the entire world. And with this, the main story of Doctor Strange comes to an end. After this, in the mid-credit scene, we see Thor appearing on screen. Thor comes to meet Strange because he is searching for his father, Odin. He believes that Strange can help him find him. Strange promises that he will help Thor search for Odin. Then in the end credit scene, Moro visits Pangorn. He steals away all of his magical powers, causing Pangorn to become paralyzed once again. When Pangorn asks why he is doing this, Mordic says that there are now too many sorcerers in the world and all of this must finally end. So how did you like this film? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to Movie 2 Clips for the best videos.